In this video I have another Teac cassette player. This is actually a double deck GSW-5300. So this one's actually part of a, well, maybe not a shelf system so much, I guess it is in a way, but a combo unit. It needs a GSA 5300 amp to actually power it. What does it say? It needs 22 and 12 volts. Made in Korea. This looks kind of mid to late 80s type of era. Could even be early 90s, I guess. Looks more 80s, more square shape maybe. Automatic tape selector. Metal. Synchro dubbing. So I'm not sure if this thing's even going to be worth messing around with much. Has its own power switch. But it's got a belt on top of it too. I think this is just one I bought for parts basically, and then forgot I even had it until recently. So I thought I better have a look at this thing and either get it going or scrap it, I think. But quite a nice little compact unit, especially for a dual tape deck. But yeah, being Teac, it's not going to be anything too special. Maybe a pair of tension decks or something. They did use them a lot in Teac stuff. They don't look like it from here. I don't know what those ones are. We've got Sankyo motors made in Taiwan. So it must be a little older. Though we don't seem to have any date. 7818B. It's a BFB 2L41T Sankyo motor. Yeah, that doesn't really give me any help with dates or anything. Maybe I can look it up online if someone's even bothered to list this thing. Yeah, I've got no idea. They've actually got metal fronts on them. Bit more complicated tape deck than usual. I don't see any missing belts yet. So what do we got here? We've got two wires. One goes around to there. Looks like one of the others goes around to there. The other two come to the power switch. So maybe, yeah, we switch in two different rails, I guess. What did it say? 22/12 volt AC. Oh yeah, we've got two bridge rectifiers. So that's going to be a bit of a pain to hook up. I do have a few old transformers I pulled out of things I've scrapped recently, so maybe they'll supply what we want. Even the Dick Smith universal transformers, possibly, kind of think of it, one of those will do both voltages. That's what I'm thinking of. 6672, 1 amp. Yeah, got 12 volts, 24, 30, 27, 20, 15 and 17.5. It's sold by all the major electronics retailers. Usually they were from Taiwan or something themselves. So this is an Arlic branded one. Yeah, I thought I kept a few of them, but it looks like I did get rid of a lot of stuff when the scrap metal prices went high, because I thought I'm never going to use that again. 687, probably when it was made. Do we have a common? I don't see why we couldn't. Well, we can just use one side of each bridge rectifier as the common, I guess. I don't think they need to be independent. But are we risking it? The other option is to hook up two completely separate transformers, which isn't that much harder, to be honest. That's a bit corroded, but there's a DSE 2155, which is the lower voltage at 1 amp. Oh, 6.3, 7.5, 8.5. I guess 6.3 was for heaters. 15, 12.6 and 9.5 at 1 amp. And yeah, I used to have a few of these because every kit you built just about, you'd want to put something like that in to run it, or just for general use as almost a bench power supply when you're starting out as a hobbyist. And yeah, they were a very common, useful transformer that JCar, Ultronics, everyone sold in the day. But yeah, I might even hook two up separately just to be safe. Though, do we know which one's which is the next problem. There should be a way of working it out, I guess. But all they do is tell us here 0.3 and 0.4 amps. We've got to work out which one of these... Oh, can we work out which one of these regulates what? Or are they labelled? I bet they're not labelled on the board, of course. 3A, 5C, 5B or something, so that doesn't tell us anything. Something here is going to, I guess, run the 12 volt motors. Not sure why it has the higher voltage. Should I have a look online to see what's what? See if we can find a manual for this thing. I think I might do that. Well, not much online about a Teac, but luckily some Korean audio site pointed out that it's actually a Goldstar, and you can get the service manual online for the whole Goldstar system. Amp, tuner and cassette. I think it's on Manuals Library. The one I downloaded, not the best quality, but enough there to get by. I mean, all they show on the amp circuit, because I thought I might look up the amp if I can't find the tape deck, and all it does is show two windings coming out of a transformer, no voltage is labelled. But the cassette player, I'm not sure if it actually shows those numbers on the board, but it does show two different bridge rectifiers, which are there. Where are they? Oh yeah, because I couldn't read it. 501. Where's the other one? BD501. It's not even on the underside by the look of it, but we should be able to work it. One looks like it actually just goes to a 12 volt rail, and the other around 15 volts. So that's the circuit of it. Just shows a jack, but that one there's got 15 volts I think written next to it. That I think it's got 12 point something, so or is that something 0.15 volts? Who knows? Almost looks like 26 volts, but sure, I think the capacitor across it's only rated at 25, so that's unlikely. So you've got 470 25, 470 16 or something, but this is they've got 473C etc, so they don't really label the things, but BD502, and we've got 5, so that must be 502. Well, that goes into what capacitor? Is that C508? Which I can barely read. Both the capacitor numbers look exactly the bloody same, and they're the same value. Typical. You can't win with these things. But should go through a BD. Yeah, 501 should be the high voltage. Should go into, we don't know what capacitor, but it should go into TR501. Can we follow that? Positive TR501, so that's our 22 volts. So this one here is our 22, and this one here is our 12 volt, at least AC. That one should go to TR502. Yeah, TR502 is the one for the 12 volts, so that is correct. I mean, if I had DC, I could just hook across these caps, I guess, and then the regulators will do their thing. But let's see, the input to this one, that definitely goes into it. That one definitely goes into it diagonally opposite. So we might as well fire this thing up, I guess, see if we can get it to run. That's the 35-1000. That isn't actually a 35-1000, even though it says it on the circuit. I think it's a 25-1000. So that also helps. So that's 12 and that's 22. So the wires next to each one are the ones. Do I bother going back to this plug? I guess we could poke some wires in there rather than solder onto here. Let's work it out. that one, oh, I've got to turn the switch on. I think it already was. That's the red wire. So these two are our 22s. On that side, let's just double check nothing weird happens when we check the other side. So the one, we're looking at it this way, the squares on top and the clip on top. Your right hand side is a 22. It's got, well, they're probably both going to have white trace wires here. They look the same otherwise. This one should come across to the 12 and to the 12. Yeah, so looking at it, the front of it like that. 12 volt this side, 22 volt the other side. So I can just maybe poke some wires in the back. I could probably even poke a thick wire in the front there or a thin wire up the side of these things. That might be the way to do it. So we'll just wire that up. Okay, so a bit of work to set all that up. Got a couple of transformers back here, just got to be careful of the 240 volts. Is out in the open, and I would occasionally do this for customers, but normally you would tell them just to bring the whole system in, or otherwise they can be up for at least another half an hour by the time you go and drop in the service agent and look it up or borrow the manual, and then you've got to wire up some transformers and stuff, so really not worth the trouble. Much easier if they just bring the whole thing in. Let's turn it on. Well, we've got a couple of LEDs on the front, so that's a good sign. Deck jumped up, so this must be, are these like soft touch or something? Possibly. It's probably why they've got so many gears in them. Yeah, I think there's a kind of a soft touch deck. Actually seems to run. Yeah, looked to be in working order. Well, there you go. So if you wired a couple of transformers into this thing, it may be a working unit. Now, do we know which wire is which on the input and output? Oh, yeah, they've at least labelled them. I guess they'd have to, because these are still standard RCA type things. Often they'd have a big connector that plugged signal and power in, and they were completely useless for anything else. Now, which one was it? That's line out on that side. But yeah, very risky having 240 volts around here. Just got to make sure nothing can drop on it and short it out or make something live. That seems to work. That one doesn't seem to sound quite as nice. Well, very low head wear, in fact none, I don't think. Doesn't really look like it's been used. A little bit of muck on the capstans and pinch rollers, but yeah, those heads are like new. So someone wasn't a big cassette player. They just got it because it was part of the system probably, and you got it whether you wanted it or not. So these things look like just a tuner, amp and a cassette player. So maybe they just listen to the radio, maybe they had a CD plugged in or something. Well, there you go. Got a bit of an interesting crosshatch pattern going on inside the cassette things there. So that's actually a piece of aluminium. And I guess the silver helped show up where the tape was sitting just from reflected light. We've got continuous play, synchronous dubbing, or synchronized dubbing, whatever it is. Metal, chrome, normal. So it's actually quite a good little cassette player in a way. The mechs are reasonably nice. They're not as cheap as you'd think, though I'm sure they're not the world's greatest quality. But yeah, sort of soft touch type thing. And yeah, that's what the LED level meters look like. Got a dubbing and record light. Yeah, I don't know why. I think that was the kind of thing they did. I think we had a Teac cassette deck with something similar. I think they're trying to make it look like it's more segments than it is, when it's obviously just one LED behind each thing. So it's only 6-segment display. But that was the kind of styling that came in. But yeah, unfortunately not any decks of much interest to me, but there's something a bit different. And it probably was a reasonable sort of deck. Would have done the job back in the day as a sort of standard unit. Yeah, it's got a fair bit of stuff. Hitachi Dolby chip. What was that? HA12045. See some bias coils there. It's got all the adjustments, some more there. Yeah, heaps of various adjustments. So it's probably got record level, another 4 over there. God, it's got lots and lots of adjustments. What's that? 4, 8, 10, 12. Oh, there's more there. 14, 16, 18, 20, 24. So it's something like 24. I guess that's 12 per deck. Massive long record playback switch there. Yes, that's a lot of stuff in there. A lot of adjustments you didn't get in the later stuff. So that was a nice easy one. It was worth hooking it up just to check that it actually worked. I'll take it these doors come off, do they? They look like they do, but do they? It's starting to come. There you go. Yeah, you can take the doors. It's got a bit of sticky stuff up the top there. At least you can get the dust out then. And you can get access to the azimuth and stuff here. Deck doesn't lift up without power applied. But yeah, a bit better quality than some. But that's all we'll do with that one. So it's tested, it's a known working deck, probably completely useless in many ways other than for parts or something for another one, which no one's likely to want. But I have to say, for LG, it's not too bad a little unit. It looks the part, doesn't look like a cheapo sort of deck beyond being, you know, your average black plastic thing of that era. It looks to be fairly well constructed. Fairly nice mechanisms. I guess one thing I got is 2 dual speed motors out of this thing. They could come in handy, and given that it's had hardly any use, they're probably in good condition. And yeah, the belts still seem to be okay. And I guess they'd make good parts mechs, but never likely to need parts for them. But you could certainly swap a whole mech into something else, but yeah, it's only going to be in this sort of equipment that would have it anyway. So it looks like the Koreans were making their own ones at the time, and a little bit nicer than some of the Tennishin stuff. So I'll put that back together, and that can go on my pile of cassette players. I'm finally getting them all in one place. So maybe just a display piece, but at least I know what the story is with it now. So thanks for watching.